Hey everybody, Mac to Monster, and this time we got Diablo 3 up on the chopping block. And I got my wizard out to play, and it's probably my best character, definitely my most geared. Uh, Probably my most favorite too. Definitely got the most playtime in on it. And I've been running the Del-Rasha build, which is 4 pieces Del-Rasha and 6 pieces of the Del-Rasha build. So let's look at the gear, and we can see, oh, I'm still buffed. Let's get my buffs off for you. You can see I'm sitting at 2 million sheet damage and 19 million toughness, which is pretty decent. All that toughness really doesn't mean a thing. That just means instead of dying in 1 hit, I die in 2 hits. The 2 million sheet damage is pretty decent. Tear things up pretty well in 40 grifts, and in 50s and up I do adequate enough damage. As long as things are being controlled, I can rip things up there too. If things are out of control, I'm dead. So getting into the Del-Rasha set, really what brings it into fruition is the 2-piece and the 6-piece, where the 2-piece damaging enemies with arcane, cold, fire, or lightning will cause a meteor of the same damage type to fall from the sky. There's an 8-second cooldown for each damage type. Those things just rip things up, especially with the way the whole build's set up. And then attacks increase your damage by 150% for 6 seconds. Arcane, cold, fire, and lightning attacks each add 1 stack. Adding a stack refreshes their duration. So that's basically 600% damage if you use 1 of each damage type. So coupled with the meteors, that makes the meteors pound really, really hard. And that's what you're looking to do. It works phenomenally well. Using the Del-Rasha, the 4-piece, casting Arcane Orb, Energy Twister, Magic Missile, or Shock Pulse reduces the cooldown of slow time by 2 seconds. This is helping us put little slow time bubbles up all over the place. And then enemies affected by your slow time take 2,000 weapon damage every second. So enemies in the slow time bubble take a ton of damage as well. So that's what I'm exploiting. And I've done a 47, which is, fairly decent. So let's get into the gearing. First off, I'm running a Royal Ring of Grandeur. That's the only way you can get the 4 and 6-piece set going. That allows you to run 3 pieces of the Del-Rasha with 5 pieces of the Del-Rasha. This is an ancient Royal Ring. It's got 564 intellect, 6% attack speed, 47% critical hit damage. As a secondary, it's got 206 arcane resistance, which is nice. Running a convention of elements. This is an ancient as well. It's got 639 intellect, 45% critical hit damage, and 5.5% crit hit chance. And then 192% increased damage to a single element for 4 seconds. So this is buffing my arcane, fire, lightning, and cold damage through the roof. And I'm doing each damage type, so I'm never losing DPS with this ring. So it's awesome. Let's see, I might as well, before I go into set pieces, I'll go to Nilfur's Boost, or Boast, and it really boosts meteor damage, which is what I'm thinking of. This has got 458 intellect, 473 vitality, 93 resistance to all elements, and 15% meteor damage. We're really looking to boost the damage of meteors, because we're relying on those meteors to really destroy things, especially higher grift levels. The special ability of the Boast is to increase the damage of meteor by 100%. When your meteor hits 3 or fewer targets, the damage is increased by 186%. So the 186 isn't that great, but the 100% is really what we're looking for. Hopefully I'm hitting more than 3 enemies anyways, until at least we get to the RG, the Rift Guardian, and then obviously you're going to want the higher number the better. And then I don't have a Serpent Sparker. Never been lucky enough to get one so far, but I do have a pretty good Ingeome, and this one's got 10% damage, 874 intellect, and increased damage against elites by 6%. Haven't been able to get higher. I always thought I would get a Serpent Sparker, so I haven't rolled too hard. I think it's up to 20 or 30 million roll. Kind of a drain. And its special ability is your skill cooldowns are reduced by 8 seconds for 15 seconds after killing an elite pack. Doesn't really come into play too much. And I got a critical hit damage gem in there, obviously. So now getting into the set pieces, and I'll do the Del-Rasha first, and we'll start off at the head. I got an Ancient Shrouded Mask. Got 877 intellect, 892 vitality, and 6% crit chance with 187 poison resistance as a secondary, which is pretty nice. I got a percent life gem in there. I didn't find too much of a need for the cooldown reduction gem. I got a Dash and Pauldrons of Despair. These aren't ancient. Haven't been lucky enough to find ancient ones. One of the few pieces that aren't ancient. These got 455 intellect, 462 vitality, 15% life, 380 armor. Pretty decent. And 151 fire resist. A nice secondary there. And then going to the leg guards of mystery. These are ancient. 613 intellect, 620 vitality, 128 resistance to all elements. No good secondaries there. 2 sockets with 280 intellect gems, which are the obvious choices. Now going into the Del-Rasha pieces, I got 5 of those, and we'll start with the Unwavering Glare. And this is ancient. We got lucky there. High damage rating, 455 to 565. 990 intellect, which is nice. 838 vitality. 9.5% crit chance. And meteor damage increased by 20%, so this is pretty good. I got a Ancient Del-Rasha's Brace. It's got 645 intellect, 117 resist all, 10% life, and 458 in armor. Not exactly everything I would like, but I gotta take what I get. No good secondaries. I got a Del-Rasha's Grasp Ancient. Didn't go trifecta, but it's still pretty decent. 850 intellect, 985 vitality, 49% crit damage, and 9.5% crit chance with 184 lightning resist as a secondary. That's not too bad. I got a Ancient Del-Rasha's Relentless Pursuit. 585 intellect, 586 vitality, 6% attack speed, and 15% life with 204 arcane resistance as a secondary. I got 3 intellect gems in there as well. And then finally, we're leading up to my Del-Rasha's Allegiance. This isn't ancient. I found a few ancients that just didn't compare. It's hard to get something better than this. It's 638 intellect, 93% critical hit damage, 9.5% crit chance, with 143 cold resist as a secondary. Just like I said, it's really hard to get something past that. And then for my bracer, I'm running Ransler's Folly. This one's set to 19% cold damage. I always thought I would get an ancient, so I didn't go for the 20. I really should go for the 20 because I haven't found an ancient. It's got 439 intellect, 100%, 100 resist all, and 6% crit chance. Not the best rolled, but really what I want is the special affix, which is Energy Twister periodically pulls enemies in within 30 yards. So I use Energy Twister, and that sucks all the enemies up into one little ball, which is very nice for the meteors to hit. So that's all the gear. Now I'll go into the skills. Oh, that's not all the gears. I got the gems. One thing with setting you'll notice that's my only piece that has actually cold or arcane damage or any kind of damage relation on it. By having the piece set to cold, my slow time bubble, because of the Del-Rasha set where it takes 2,000 weapon damage a second, the cold damage bonus sets slow time to cold damage. Just so you know. So if you have your highest elemental damage bonus is fire, your slow time bubble will do fire damage. So I have it set to cold damage. And I run Ice Blink as a gem. My cold skills now apply chill effects, and your chill effects now slow enemy movement by an additional 15%. So my slow time bubble now has a chill effect, and it slows them even more. And I gain 10% increased critical chance against chilled and frozen enemies. Nice little added advantage. I'm running Bane of the Trapped. Now that my slow time bubble is guaranteed chilled, I get the extra 28.5% damage, and I don't have to be close to use that aura. And then I'm running Z's Stone of Vengeance. I can stay far away, and my damage I deal is increased by 5.9% for every 10 yards between me and the enemy hit, at a maximum of 29.5% increased damage at 50 yards. Plus, I have a 20% chance on hit to stun the enemy for 1 second. So, nice little synergies going on there. Going into the skills I'm using Shock Pulse Piercing Orb. I'm using this for the lightning damage. This will call down a lightning meteor. That's the biggest benefit of using it. Also, by casting it, it resets or lowers the cooldown of slow time by 2 seconds. I have set up on my right mouse button Magic Weapon, Force Weapon. This gives me a nice 20% increased damage buff. I have Energy Twister, Wicked Wind. This allows me to drop a Wicked Wind wherever I want, and with that Ransler's Folly, I can suck everything into that one point. I can then drop a slow time bubble with point of no return on top of them, so if they try to leave the bubble, they get stunned with point of no return. They also start taking that 2,000 weapon damage per tick, and they're slowed and chilled, and so I have 10% increased crit against them. Then I have Hydra, Mammoth Hydra, which starts laying down fire. And by the way, the cold damage from slow time bubble calls down the cold meteors. The Hydra Mammoth lays down the fire paths, which calls down the fire meteors. And then I have Energy Armor, Prismatic Armor, for a little bit extra defense. And then I'm running Blur for decreased damage taken. I'm running Elemental Exposure because I'm using Arcane, Cold, Fire, and Lightning, and everybody takes 5% more damage from all sources for 5 seconds for each different type. Applies a stack, stacking up to 4 times, so that's 20% extra damage. I'm running Glass Cannon, and I'm running Unstable Anomaly, just in case it works and saves my butt. I might be able to live a little bit longer. So I'll go ahead and do I got a 43 Grift here. Probably die a few times. Recording the FPS definitely drops. Need that second video card. So I put my buffs up. I'm going to give it a second to catch up. As you can see, I'm trying to stay as far away as possible. These guys sneak up on me. Got a bunch of fat men, so you want to be careful of their explosions. What's good about this build is you try to stay far away anyway, so you don't have to really worry about those explosions. Except these little snake guys tend to work their way out of the slow time bubble. What do we got? Oh, we got a conduit. We'll skip it. Conduit's just cheating. Oh, I clicked it by mistake. We'll come over here and let it run out. There it goes. Reflects damage. Don't shoot him with piercing orb. That's the only thing in this build that reflects damage. That's pretty easy to deal with RD packs. Again, don't shoot him with piercing orb. Another thing that's a little bit more difficult without playing with anybody, being alone, most stuff tends to die off screen. So you're just kind of progressing a little slower. There's no teleport. Most people high-end don't use teleports. Unless they're doing the cheat build. That in. That's what I mean, just having that 940 million hit points allowed me to live for that one little hit. I'm just using the shock orb here to reset the cooldown and slow time. Using slow time to control all the mobs, using Wicked Wind to get all the mobs into the slow time. Into the meteor fall downs. Jailing doesn't do much, just makes you be able to drop slow times all over the place, which you can basically already do anyways. There's something nasty's down there. That's the benefit of the slow time bubbles, is you can kill stuff off screen. Not have to deal with it. Definitely a big advantage. Fast, completely ignore the slow time bubbles. They take the damage. But they're not stunned by your stun for some silly reason. Speed does nothing for you. Oh, look at that, no deaths. That was pretty easy. No shoulders. Take a 45 key. And that's it. So that's the Del-Rasha build. That's my Del-Rasha build. Before I go, though, I will show you. What I've been able to do so far is at 47. For some reason, I haven't been able to beat it. I can crush some early ones, but I can't get past that 47 for some reason. Just get really unlucky with winged assassins after 47. Maybe I'll get past it. So, hope you enjoyed. Hope it helps anyone who's just starting out, and I'll talk to everybody real soon.